Wanderers. Now, like we mentioned last week, we're going to have 2 tutorials for you this week. We're going to continue with our crystals. We're going to look at cleaning them and grading them today by size and coloration. And then Rose is going to join us for a speed run showing us how she drew one of the pages in her coloring book, which then we'll see the full coloring book in this week's. But first, since she is our special foods connoisseur, Rose has procured for us another fancy thing for us to try. So tell us about this. What do you got this week?
Okay, so this week we have a limited edition flavor by Pepsi that is apple pie flavored. Now the story behind this is Pepsi actually was doing a contest, and this was this past week or 2 weeks, where it was on Twitter and you had to submit photos to Pepsi's Twitter page of your baking fail. So I actually made some sugar cookies not long ago, and some of them came out really nicely, but some I definitely burnt. So I tweeted them a picture of my sugar cookies, and you put like a hashtag. I forget what the hashtag is, but yeah, they messaged me back and were like, wow, look at that baking fail or whatever. And yeah, they emailed me, and sure enough, I actually won some limited edition Pepsi, and I'm super excited because I don't know how many they released of this, so I don't know if it's a lot of people got it or just a few. I'll have to look at that later. But anyways, we're going to be taste testing this for the first time. I haven't even opened it yet, so you're going to hear the fizz. Here we go. Ooh.
That was a good fizz.
Yeah.
I was afraid it might spill on us.
Oh, I can smell it already.
Let's try it.
Okay. Well, first we gotta smell it, then we're gonna taste it. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna stand up.
That is proper.
Ooh, I love that sound. It's very ASMR.
Yeah, too bad we didn't pull out the big microphones.
Ooh, yeah. Is that enough for everybody?
Yeah, I got the most.
Okay. All right, and as you can also see, the design for the product has some little apples and the pie on the front. Very cute. And there's even some decor on the top that kind of looks like a sweater. I think that's really cute. So, okay, what do we think of the smell first?
It's very appley.
Yeah, I can already smell like the sweet. Like I almost feel like my nose said cinnamon for a second, but
that's like I thought it was.
There's a little bit there. Cinnamon's
now
very
that you
common
say
with apple.
Right, now that you say the apple part, I'm like I can actually, because my whole thing is I've tried the cinnamon Coke. That was last year, and it did taste very cinnamony. I really like it, but I'm wondering if this is going to taste just like cinnamon or also like apple. So
well, let's figure it out.
Okay.
All right.
Wow, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
It's the best Pepsi I've ever had.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, no, that is super good. They need to like actually sell this, like for real.
That's really good. Yeah, so when I first tasted it, I tasted more cinnamon, but the second time, I'm getting more of an apple aftertaste. What about you guys?
I feel like I feel like I can like pretty equally taste both.
So, now that we've sorted all of our rocks from the last dig, we're finally at the cleaning stage. Now, the cleaning stage is pretty easy. Basically, you just make a big tub of water. I use plastic bins for mine. And you fill it up with water. You put some iron out in it, which is a chemical that it's for like toilet bowl and rust remover, but that is basically going to eat away all the minerals that are caked on top of the rocks. This is some iron coating on top of some skeletal milky quartz, and this is what it looks like when it comes out of the bath. Now, I divided all our rocks into 4 different trays, and I've already got 3 trays in the big bin over here. So let's take a look at what was in those. Now this tray really highlights the diversity of the dig. You've got some nice smoky pieces with a lot of iron inclusions, to something with some more lighter moments, but still there's some good darkness down in there. This tray really contains a lot of our more darker stones, which turned out to be smaller in this dig, which is fine, and particularly, you know, not particularly uncommon. This is a really interesting piece. You can see through it there, and it's very smoky here. That'll make a really nice necklace. But so I'm really excited probably most about this tray. The larger rocks are great, but like I said, there's going to be a lot of just great pieces that are really interesting to shape. Like I can already see, like this could be a really cool necklace. Flatten out the back, and then sort of, it's got these 4 or 5 sort of natural faces, and you can just take that to the grindstone and polish those down for an interesting faceted piece and put a hole in the top, and bam, it's an easy necklace. So this is definitely the tray. I'm excited to see what comes out of it. In our medium-sized rocks, we definitely have some variation in color, but this tray does have a few of our darker colored stones. There's a nice spot there. This is probably one of the better ones this size. And as you can see, there are these little iron inclusions. It'll come out really nice and be more evident, for one, when they are cleaned, but then especially once they're polished. Now this tray has some of our larger specimens, and still there's a good variation in color. You know, this is a specimen that's more milky than smoky almost, although there's really nice pockets of smoky, and you can really see those pronounced iron inclusions. So this will actually look really cool polished up, and there might be some cool points where we can cut into this rock. Here, you know, there's some pseudo formations there. Didn't quite get pointy, but that's an interesting rock that's got a lot of layers. And as you can see, there are still some fairly dark. This rock I'm particularly excited about. There's some really dark moments and some iron inclusions. So this should come out pretty interesting. Now, your iron out, I'll provide a link below to where you can get this, but you can order it online. I haven't been able to find the powder version in stores, but your store might have it. But you want to get the powder version, and I usually mix about 1 cup to every 3 to 5 gallons that I do, and you can put a little more. You're not gonna eat away too much. Now you can leave the rocks in there for too long, and they'll start to get this other colorization to them, so you want to periodically check them. But I guess you don't have to be super exact with the powder. Now you definitely want to do this outside in a well-ventilated area and wear a particle mask. Like a lot of things with rocks and mineral stuff, the particles can be very bad to inhale. They're not toxic, but you don't want them in your system because they don't go away, and you're going to want to use a particle mask for a lot of this. So another thing, a little trick I like to, because when the particulate separates from the rocks, it'll settle on the bottom, and if you don't elevate your rocks, like if they're just on the bottom of the surface, then that bottom ½ inch or so can actually, some of the particulate from the top rocks can resettle and reattach, and then you have to clean them again. So I like to put a little brick or stone down in the bottom before I put my tray on it. And again, we're using these cool Coke trays. They fit pretty nicely into these containers, and of course they got holes in the bottom so the water can drain out when you pull them up. And of course then we'll set our larger rocks right here on top, just like that, and we'll start to fill the water up. And as we're filling it up with water, we're going to pour our iron out particles, or powder, into the bath so that it mixes it up and agitates together. Now, how long it takes for your rocks to clean up is going to depend, again, since these don't really have a ton of iron deposits on them, like on the surface, these will probably clean up faster. But I usually like to run them for about 48 hours. But I always check, usually at 24 hours, and then at 36 hours, and then again at 48 hours, or sometime around there.
Hello Wanderers, Rose of Aquabun here, and today I'm going to be telling you a little bit about this coloring page I did. So while I'm talking, I'm going to be showing you the process through a quick time lapse. So it's a sped up showing of how I created this coloring page. So I create all my coloring pages using my iPad with an Apple pencil, and I use a program called Procreate. I really love it. It's actually a very cheap app, and you can do a lot with it. It's very versatile for basically being a one-time $10 app. And the iPad that I have is I believe it's the 9.5 inch iPad Pro. I really love it a lot. And the Apple Pencil is absolutely amazing. I've tried using other stylus brands, and just none of them mimic the real feel of drawing, on a piece of paper. It's just, there's no lag at all, and where you place that pencil is exactly where it is, and I absolutely love it. The other thing that I use that makes a big difference, especially for me that's been so used to drawing on physical pieces of paper all my life and not having done digital much, is I use a special film that I place over the iPad. It's like a screen, like a translucent screen protector that you stick on, but it's actually textured, so it allows more friction while I'm drawing, so it's not as slippery when I move the pencil around, and that also makes a big difference. So I'll go into a bit about what I'm actually drawing here now. So the coloring book theme is Magical Bunnies. That's the title. So what it is fantasy inspired bunnies on every coloring page, and some of them I also add other mythical human figures. For this coloring book, I've mainly focused on mythical women, so like mermaids and fairies and witches, that kind of theme. So with this one, I thought it'd be really fun to have a mermaid riding her own mythical sea creature, as well as the mermaid bunny riding its own creature, and I thought this was a cute little idea. So I have a mermaid riding a seahorse, and then you have the mermaid bunny riding an actual seahorse. So what the mermaid is actually riding is you could either call it a kelpie, that's one version of this mer horse creature, or another one, which I usually call as a hippocamp. So that's more what I call them, or where I get the idea from. But yeah, basically it's a half horse with a mermaid tail. And then the bunny is of course just riding a regular seahorse. I thought that would be really good. So obviously the seahorse is a bit larger than your typical seahorse, but that's okay. This is in a world of whimsy and fantasy and things like that. So yeah, as you see, I'm putting a lot of scales on. I like putting a lot of scales just for the details on their tails, as well as I like to put a little bit on their arms. It's just what I like to do. Some artists only put a few scales on their mermaid tails, but I usually just end up putting a lot, and I really have no rhyme or reason. I just fill in the patches that look like they really need it. Like if there's a big gap somewhere, I'll kind of fill it in. And then as you can see here, I put little squiggles. That's just a little extra touch I like to do. I put little circles and squiggles on their tails, just to give a little something extra to mix in with the scales. So here I'm doing the seahorse now, as well as the little mer bunny. He's got a lot of little scales there. I also like to put, as you can see, I put little swirls on their cheeks and the shoulders and sometimes the elbows. This is just a little something I like to do where I don't know, for the cheeks it gives it some, it's where their blush would be. So I just think it looks cute putting it on the points of articulation on the body, so you can see like her shoulders. And then with the hair, I really like drawing hair in this style where
the lines don't really connect and they're very distinct. So you can really see, I don't know, there's just a lot of space in between the lines, and I have a lot of fun drawing it that way. And yeah, and of course finishing off, of course, with the bubbles all around them, so it's very obvious that they're underwater. Can't forget that. And as you can see, and that's the end of the video. But yeah, that's my little seahorse, mermaid riding her sea space horse, and bunny riding seahorse. And I hope you enjoyed this process. So thanks for joining me today.
So we're back a little after the 24-hour mark for our first check-in on our rocks. So let's see what we've got. So you can already see the color on some of these is really starting to show. Like, for example, look at this one. That is a great specimen. And as you can see, we've got plenty in a pretty good size. And some of these you can really see those iron inclusions, which gives you some really nice points of orange. Just real excited as these clean up. You sort of see. Yeah, that's just some great color. Most of these honestly probably look like they're almost done. Oh my goodness, look at this. This is some red. Wow, that's some really interesting coloration. So I'm probably gonna go through some of these now, and honestly, most in this top tray look like they are ready to come out. Some of that is some built on. The iron bath isn't gonna take that out. We'll have to clean that up with a saw, a little cleaning tool. So yeah, I'm gonna go through these, see which ones look like they're ready to come out, and see what needs to be left in for a little bit longer.
Hi, welcome to I'm here with Rose and her coloring books, and I have my wood-burned talismans. These are some things that I make to go on your altars or to be put in your pocket so that you can take with you for good luck or protection from weather, and to find your way home. There's a one for a compass. And this one is Bjarni, the one that will keep you from freezing to death. And this one is one of my favorites. I nicknamed it the Necropants, but this one has a whole story behind it that if you purchase it, I will send a little pamphlet that tells the story. But it's basically a pair of pants where you have a coin in the crotch, and you'll never be poor because you'll always have money there. So I do a lot of symbols from different traditions, but the ones I have here today are Icelandic staves and talismans that they're just usually just my favorites that I pick out of this book. It's called The Sorcerer's Screed. This is one of the coolest books that I've picked up, and it really inspired me to sort of make a small piece of art you could keep with you and just, I don't know, maybe gain some self-confidence from. So I'm going to read an example of one. This one right here is called the Bjarni. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, but I'm going to read the little description for it. Carve on cedar wood and color with the blood from your right breast, and you will never freeze to death. So this is not cedar wood, but I am going to be working on getting some cedar wood for these. But really, honestly, I feel like the intention is put to keep you from freezing to death, so I think it'll work if your intention's there. But obviously, if you want to recreate it with the blood from your right breast on some cedar wood, that is totally up to you, and I support that. But yeah, and so these are going to be available on the Grimriggers Etsy. They're going to be probably sold in sets or as necklaces or Christmas ornaments, Yule ornaments, maybe something to dangle in your dashboard, or if you just want it without a hole drilled in it, that's fine too. You could always send a message, and anything can be catered to your preferences.
So today I'm going to be highlighting my coloring books. So these are all made by me, and the title is Magical Bunnies Coloring Book by Aquabun, of course. So you can see the front page there, and Here's the back page, and this just has some of the previews of the coloring pages inside. As you can see on the front, it says 20 pages to color. That's how many are in here in total. So for each page, I have it so there isn't anything on the back. It's just one artwork per page, so it doesn't bleed through as much. I still wouldn't recommend paint on the pages, just like coloring books or crayons. Maybe marker, but if you were to use marker, I would recommend putting something underneath the page so it still doesn't bleed through. And yeah, we can just kind of show you some of the artwork in here. So the whole theme of the book is, as the title says, magical bunnies. So everything is fantasy themed and everything involves a bunny in the picture. When you first open it up, you get to write your name in here. I thought that would be really cute. So you can say this book belongs to, and your name. It's got some pretty coral there you can color as well. And that's some information, and then you get right into it. So like here's a mermaid, and she's got her little mer bunny. Got to start off with the classic Aquabun mermaid bunny. And then here's I really enjoyed drawing this scene with the big mushroom house for the fairy bunny. Some more mermaid bunnies. Here's one exploring a little cavern with a bunch of crystals. This one I also really enjoyed doing. You can see here at the end there's a little bunny like hopping down this road in a very magical, kind of spooky forest. I'm all about some spooky forests. So yeah, and there's 20 pages in all, and like I said, you can see they're all blank on the other side. I still wouldn't recommend paint, maybe marker, but I would definitely put something underneath. But I definitely recommend colored pencils or crayons for these. So yeah, and I'll go ahead and show you. We did as you all saw, we did I did a time lapse of me working on the coloring page. So let me find that real quick. Here we go. So this one is of a mermaid riding her, you could either call it a kelpie or a hippocamp, that's what I call them. And the mermaid bunny is riding a seahorse, of course. Haha, that rhymed. So I really hope you enjoyed watching the time lapse of it. And you can find these books on my Etsy shop. That's etsy.com/shop/Aquabun. You can also find them on Amazon as well.
Sorry about the sound. The rain's moved in and I'm in a metal building, so it's not the greatest. But let's look at the final result of our clean. Now, this batch I ended up only leaving in about 36 hours. It didn't need the full 48. And that's why I like to check it every 12 hours or so, just to see which rocks are about ready. Because again, you don't want to leave them in too long. It can cause some weird, I've had in the past, like some yellowy or kind of light green mineralization form on top of the crystals when I've left them in too long. So anyway, this is just one, or a little selection of our rocks. I just wanted to show a few of some of the great things we got. There were so many rocks. I haven't weighed everything yet, but by the time the video's over, maybe I'll put in if I've weighed everything. But final tip for cleaning, you're going to want a little brush when you pull them out of the water. Sometimes there's a little bit of kind of mud or some particle on, and you can just brush them off when you get them out of the water. So that's what takes the longest, really, pulling them out and inspecting each rock. But this batch, I was just really happy again with the coloration. We got a lot of good dark smokies. We got some even brighter stones, or more milky. But even this one has a good bit in the middle. And again, our large stones. One thing that I'm super excited about is this stone right here with the druzy formations. Probably one of the better, well, definitely one of the better. I think it's between this and the giant smoky, which is the prize in this haul. But this is just some really great clear quartz with iron inclusions. It's a druzy and it's skeletal quartz formations. Actually, you can see a little better up here.
the skeletal formations. But this is just such a great stone, and it's really got some nice oranges and yellows that don't come out after the bath. That's that iron trapped inside the crystal, which is really nice.
Again, another really nice skeletal quartz formation over here. I might put it back in the bath to clean up a little, but I like the orange in there. I think most of that is in the crystal formation. And again, we'll revisit that in a few weeks with some slabs. Honestly, there's a lot of projects that we're going to get out of this haul to revisit. I've started to pick out some smaller stones that I'm going to make some runes out of. And we'll just go through, we'll probably make a lot of necklaces out of some of our smaller stones with a good color.
As you can see, there's just a ton of variation in color in this batch. We've got some really great smoky parts with some iron inclusions, some that are a little more orange. This is a good mix. This is a lot of orange, you know, some rocks even, you know, that are mostly iron inclusions. And this is a really interesting rock. I think this will shape up nicely. It's already got a good flat point on it. And so we'll try to make an interesting structure with this and leave this face raw. I think that'll be a really nice piece. And then you've even got some really nice little pieces. Again, the color ranging from a nice rusty orange to a really good pure smoky. We've got a lot of different options. These will make really great necklaces and smaller pieces. And then again, there's even some cool pieces like this that are mostly milky, but they've got some of that coloration inside. So we might take some of these later and cut them down and see sort of what's inside and dig that out.
Really excited to see what we can get out of these over the next few weeks. Again, if you like these videos, don't forget to like this one and subscribe. Check out our other videos and follow us on our social medias, which will be on a page coming up right now. And of course, join us again next week. We're going to take some crystals and start cutting on some of our new saws and lapidary equipment. And we're going to start taking what we've dug out of the ground and really getting them polished up and ready to sell at shows and just have nice pieces. So, until then, keep wondering.
Well, we're definitely going to end each episode with like 15 seconds of goats.